A Toronto police officer is charged with manslaughter, and Rob Ford takes his place in office.
China blocks access to WikiLeaks, and today marks the 22nd annual World AIDS Day. Humber News starts right now.
Hello, it's Wednesday, December 1st, 2010. Welcome to Humber News, coming to you from the Broadcast Centre here at North Campus. I'm Pam Ball. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Simon Rice. Coming up in the show, we'll have all your sports and entertainment news, as well as your 5-day weather forecast. But first, Pam has our top story.
Toronto Mayor Rob Ford is ready to make his mark on his first day in office. He announced today that Transit City is over. Ford says he wants to build more subways instead of going ahead with the provincially funded light rail project. He also says he looks forward to meeting with Premier Dalton McGuinty about funding for subways. Ontario has already put money into the light rail project and has committed contracts for its development. The provincial government says it won't pay to cover any cancellation fees or the costs of killing the project.
A Toronto police officer has just been charged with manslaughter in a fatal shooting. The Special Investigations Unit says 26-year-old Eric Asawe suffered a fatal gunshot wound on September 29th. Police had arrived at an apartment on Dunbluer Road in the city's West End with a search warrant. The SIU says during the search there was an interaction between Asawe and police. Constable David Kavanagh is due in court on January 6th to face the manslaughter charge.
Firefighters got more than they expected this morning after responding to a fire at St. Clair Avenue West and Runnymede Road. A marijuana grow-op was discovered after breaking into a brick garage. Captain David Eckerman says grow-ops often pose a fire hazard due to faulty wiring. A Rottweiler was also found in the fire but was not injured. The dog was turned over to Animal Services. The amount of marijuana has yet to be determined.
Today is World AIDS Day. The UN AIDS organization estimates that 33 million people are living with HIV/AIDS around the world. Reporter Crystal Burney went to find out what's happening at Humber.
According to the Canadian AIDS Society, every 2 hours a Canadian becomes infected with HIV. This is why World AIDS Day is an important day worldwide to bring awareness to this disease. The AIDS Committee of Toronto reported around 65,000 people were living with HIV/AIDS in 2009. Of those, 30% were unaware they were even infected. Here at Humber, the Health Centre has set up an information booth to help educate students on safe sex. Registered nurse Catherine McKee says education about the disease is key.
Anybody can get infected with HIV or AIDS, so it's important that you prevent this disease by protection and getting monitored and tested.
McKee says while the Health Centre is a safe, anonymous place to go for information or to be tested, sometimes it's easier for students to talk to their peers.
Students don't want to talk to a nurse, or they feel overwhelmed by talking to somebody that's a little bit older. They can talk to students who understand what they might be going through.
World AIDS Day is a day to think globally and act locally. UN AIDS says education is key to reducing the number of new infections. This is especially important in Canada today as infection rates are on the rise again, particularly among members of the gay community. People who are sexually active are encouraged to educate themselves on the disease and how to properly protect themselves from becoming infected. Crystal Burney, Humber News.
Ontario's job sector is set to go green this week. As many as 1,700 jobs, both directly and indirectly related to the building of wind turbines, will be created by the Government of Ontario. The project is a collaboration with private investors and will feature a new factory in Tillsonburg built by Siemens Canada. The new jobs are set to be announced this week, according to government sources. Other jobs will be created at a new factory in Windsor, building towers for wind turbines to sit on.
It may be almost 2011, but for the richest Canadians, it feels more like the 1920s. A new study by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives found the percentage of income captured by the wealthiest Canadian earners is greater than it has been in 90 years. The study found of all income gains made by Canadians since 1987, nearly a third went into the pockets of the top 1% of earners. This is the highest it has been since spiking to more than 15% in the 1920s. The study's authors said the current trends are, in her opinion, politically and economically unsustainable.
Humber College is getting a taste of one of Asia's richest cultures today. International hospitality students from Taiwan held their annual cultural festival designed to celebrate their country's heritage. Reporter Jared Lalonde has the story.
The concourse at North Campus today was filled with the sounds, sights, and smells of Taiwan. The annual Taiwanese Cultural Festival kicked off today to celebrate the Asian culture, rich in both flavor and tradition. Students and faculty members arrived to get a taste of what Taiwan has to offer. Guests were able to dabble in calligraphy, test their hand at traditional games, and even fill their bellies with red bean buns and bubble tea. Xiao Hu, professor at the National Kaohsiung Hospitality College in Taiwan, says students can learn a lot from today's event.
Good opportunity for the faculty and students here at Humber to understand about Taiwanese culture. They can go there for travel, for study, and for enjoy the food.
Organizers say the event is designed to not only showcase the beauty of the Taiwanese culture, but perhaps entice students and faculty to one day visit the country they love so dear. Jared Lalonde, Humber News.
Stick around. Jessica LeBerge will have your 5-day weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
It's damp and gray today, but we should see the sunshine by the end of the week. Stick around, I'll have your 5-day weather forecast coming up after the break.